Hey everyone, it's Nixie, and today I want to make a quick recap of my time at ProTour LA. I had a blast at the event, got to play against a lot of great people, as well as meet and make friends with new people. Super happy to be able to meet fans that watch my content and came up to say hi. Take time out of their day to just come and do that means a lot to me. And I was able to give away quite a few of my sleeves, so that was great. And if you never got a chance to get one, I hope I can meet you in the future so you can get one of them. And alright, so before we dive into it, I want to say thanks to you, as well as my patrons for always supporting me. Can't say thanks enough to you for helping me keep on making content. Without you, I don't know if I will keep on doing this. I mean, I probably would, but it really does incentivize me to just keep on going and making content. And now that Dori is meta, maybe, a lot more people will be interested in Dori. Alright, let's get into my experience. So, day 1 of PT, I was pretty nervous. I never played in a PT before, and who knows when I could participate in another one. My goal was to survive to day 2 and take it one step at a time from there. And if I don't make it, I could always do the calling, since I also bought the Fable package because I wanted the promos as well as the mat, so I was trying not to psych myself out too much. Like, it's okay if I, just scrub out day 1. Because having too much pressure is never good for anyone. So, I sit down for my first pairings and it's against the Dromai. I knew Dromai was going to be pretty well represented at this meta. So, my win rate, I had to kind of practice a bit and it's been pretty good. I felt like maybe I'm 50-50, maybe 60-40 my favor, depending on the Dromai and the Dromai's experience into Dori. My game plan into Dromai is usually just minimize damage by blocking out, save a go again source, and a pitch to farm a dragon and grow counters. And eventually, once I have enough counters, I'll go from a dragon to a Dromai to chip damage, or just go face at Dromai to swing twice with a twinning in hand ready in case that they are able to block out. So that's the plan, and usually it works really well. As long as the Dromai doesn't run super hot or super aggressive into me and I can't do anything, or I just have a dead hand. That was the plan. We start, opponent goes first, Crack's Gold makes Ash, and throws a few attacks which, I block out to save health. Then he summons Asvolai and attacks with it, which is fine because I actually run AB1 because I know that I don't want to die to burn them all or Asvolai. So I just have a no-run hood for this matchup. So I pitch for Asvolai and also block with my last card, which is a Golgan source that I want to keep. But it's fine because I'm most likely going to draw into another one. So then my turn, I draw up, and my next hand that I draw up though is just a blue and all pump reactions. No Golgan sources, which is really unfortunate because I really need a Golgan to clear Asvolai, then go at face. So this is not starting off pretty well. I need to choose between either going at Dromai to try chip in damage or clear the dragon. And after thinking about it for a bit, I decide that I don't want Asvolai to stick around so much. So I just swing at Asvolai and make a vigor from grains from hitting and pass. Not great, but it happens. Then on his turn, he plays up Tome, draws 2, make 2 Ash, plays Kyloria, and then Rake the Embers to spit out, 3 Ash Rings. That's quite a bit of dragons already. That's 4 dragons that's just popped up right now. And usually this early, I don't feel really happy. Actually, I don't mind it too much because I do have some poppers in the deck, like 5. But it's not great because I just need to block out this turn and then get a Golgan source, kill 2 dragons and move on. Which is what I do. I just block out all the damage that I can, and then I have to just use an armor and a card to block out Kyloria, make sure they didn't draw because I don't have any copper yet, and just kill 2 dragons to get a counter. So at least I have a counter, not too bad. And then next turn, I draw up and I actually don't have any Golgan again, which is pretty rare because I have like 23 Golgan sources in my deck. So I'm feeling kind of bummed. But I do have a CNC, so I could pop one of the dragons to stop their churn, so I'm feeling okay. But my opponent plays out another tome, plays Rake the Embers, and then a Chromai. I'm thinking, no, not the Chromai, because even if I pop the Chromai, they could just keep on attacking, so it's not great. They're back up to like a pretty decent board, and I don't have a go again this turn. So yeah, I pop Chromai and then I block as much as possible, hit one dragon. I don't think I pop boots yet because it's way too early. And then just go from there. And eventually things kind of just spiral out of control from there. I don't really get tempo back at all. I'm most of the time playing very defensive, and I get up to like maybe 5 counters. But at this point, I'm like really little health because every time I did have a popper in hand, they also play like a Chromai or Mirror Guy or something. It wasn't that great at all. So this one was sort of a blowout. I think I lost when they were still like at 20 health. Very unfortunate, but take the loss there and start my tournament at 0-1. Second game, I get paired into KO. And I'm pretty happy with this matchup. I have like a 90% win rate into this because KO, I treat like 5. And they just want to race most of the time. They never want to block because they have an agility token or a few might, so they want to go wide, which forces them to be greedy and hold on to cards. So it's purely a race game, and usually in a race, Dori just comes out ahead. So we start playing. I have to go first, which isn't great, but it's fine. My opening hand doesn't have a go again, but I do have Agile Windup. So I just swing to try to chip some damage, and hope for maybe if I do hit, I get a range trigger. He blocks out with 3 cards, which prevents me from any reactions to hit. And I just play an Agile Windup to get go again for next turn. And he also plays an Agile Windup. That was his last card. So he has a go again source for next turn, which is pretty good. And then I think when he draws back up, he plays Assault and Battery, discarding a 6-bar to create another Agility, Might, and Clawing. For me, since I also have an Agility, I don't want to really block this because this is just like 9 damage. And I really want to start getting a counter. So I just take the 9, and on my turn, I swing back, just trying to get a counter. He blocks without churning Reprise with some equipment, I guess. But I still get over with a puncture, swing again. And this time he doesn't block from hand, he just lets me get a counter. And I'm feeling pretty good about that because getting countered this early is always great. But his turn, the reason he didn't block was because he had Blood Rush Bellows. So he plays Blood Rush Bellows, pitching a Reckless Swing, and hits back really hard. I note that he pitched a Reckless because that's always something he has to remember, because you don't want to go below 2 health. But since he pitched it so early and I'm not expecting this game to go to second cycle, I'm feeling pretty good about it because that's one less way he could kill me. But on his Blood Rush turn, I'm trying to minimize some damage by blocking with card, but I need to keep a go against source and some pumps because I do have 1 counter and I don't want to lose it yet. So I take quite a bit of damage on that turn, I think like 13 damage. And then I try to swing back with some attacks and reactions. I think he perfect blocks. I go over with the reaction. Then he no fears me, and I lose my counter from there. Which, you know, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Just 1 counter. I did force a no fear, so it's not too bad. But on his turn, he rolls Scabs, gets 2 action points, Claws, and then plays out Cast Bones, which hits, and gets a Agility and Mights, and arsenals a card. So that's pretty good and pretty scary. Pretty feared for my life because I did take some damage that previous turn to try to get a counter that I lost. But my next hand, you know, was pretty good, so I didn't mind too much. I have a Glistening and a Twinning, so I feel like I could hit back and maybe force him to block out, and maybe his turn won't be that scary. So I play out the Glistening. He blocks with a card and 2 armor pieces, including Flesh Bag, to overblock by 3. I'm holding 3 cards, and one of them is that twinning, so I hope it doesn't get banished, because if that does, I get blown out right here. But Flashback Intimidate happens, and the card that gets banished happens to be Lead with Speed, not the twinning. So I am safe. I'm feeling pretty good. And he overblocked this too, so I just play twinning, and I swing again, and he thinks for a bit. He decides to not block, so this hits. And then after that, I pop Bolters and then swing again, which he also lets it hit, and I am up to 3 counters now. So at this point, I'm feeling really good because Dawnblade is at 3 counters, and it's really hard to reset unless I draw a hand of no pumps, which is very unlikely. So then I draw up, and I draw blue Hit and Run, good, a red Valor, good, a CNC, not so good, and then a blue Hold the Line, also not good. So no pumps, which is very bad because now I don't have anything sneaky that I can do. That sucks a lot. But the opponent doesn't know I don't have any pumps. I could still bluff this. But on his turn, I know he's gonna swing back really hard from the previous turn because he has that cast bonus that hit. So I have to decide how much I'm gonna block this. First option I could do, whatever he throws, I could block with CNC and Hit and Run for 6 damage, then play out Leave a Speed from Arsenal and hold the Valor. I don't have Bolters anymore, so I don't get a go again, so it's not as threatening. Could also just play out the Valor and hold my Arsenal card, and maybe bluff that I have reaction there. That might be okay coming in for 9 with the reaction, but I only have maybe 1 float if I block with 2 cards again, so it's not great. Another option is just take everything, because then I could swing back for Lead with Speed, Warrior's Valor, and then have 2 cards left in hand and swinging for 12 damage on hit go again. So that's the highest risk, but also the highest reward, because it's also unlikely the opponent could block with for 12 damage, because they may have some no blocks like Bare Fangs and Wild Rides. So I'm thinking about this. I'm like, man, what should I do? Like, maybe I'll go with the last option. And my opponent comes and attacks me while I'm still thinking, and he plays red Bare Fangs for 15 go again or something huge like that, pitching a second Reckless Swing. And when I see the second Reckless Swing, I'm thinking like, okay, this is the second one, so even if I go to 1 or 2, maybe I'm safe because we won't go to second cycle. And I could still, close out the game, as long as I could keep these counters. So I decided to pretty much take all the damage, and I ended up getting pretty low. And on my turn, I play out the last option, which was playing out the Lead with Speed, making Agility, play Valor, and swing for 12, and hold 2 cards. And if my opponent has 1 no block or some 2 blockers, I pretty much win from there because I'm just gonna snowball. My opponent thinks for a really long time and eventually just throws out all his cards and I think the rest of the recommends he has to block exactly for 12 and ask if I have it. And I look at him and I say, nope, I don't. I was trying to bluff. Well, I don't say I bluff, I just say no. I don't want to tell him everything. I just say, yep, nope, nothing for me. Yeah, then Arsenal card. Feels so bad and punished so hard. Yeah, so that's an uphill battle from there to get back because I'm pretty low now and opponent's still pretty fine around like in the 20s, high 20s, and I'm in the low 10s. I do eventually claw back a bit, and I think we get down to me at 1 health and he's at 5, and then I'm feeling maybe I could chip in some damage or kill him with a route, but he kills me with a Reckless Swing. And I think that's the 3rd Reckless Swing because I don't think we got to his pitch stack yet, so I wasn't expecting a 3rd one, so that was very unfortunate that I just died to that. But I guess that's what happens when you gamble and lose, but it's fine. Although I'm 0-2 now, starting the PT. Not feeling good, but what can you do, right? So at this point, I'm really bummed because I felt really good about this deck too. I think on Talishar, I think I had like an 80% win rate with this deck. But maybe it just wasn't good enough. Maybe it wasn't good for the meta. But I don't know, I just felt the deck is so really strong, so maybe it's just variance. So I decided to just play it out because you never know how things can end up going. My next 2 CC games, I forgot who it was against, but I ended up winning, so I go 2-2 in CC, which, you know, was the best I could hope for at that point. And next round's gonna be draft, and I'm not looking forward to it. I didn't get to play in any RTNs that were running draft because I could only go to 1 RTN, so don't have any in-person practice. I did practice online, but not nearly enough to feel confident. The draft seating is called, and I go to my pod, and I see some familiar faces. I see Dennis Zhang, and I see Brody Spurlock in my pod. Like, what the heck are these 2 people doing in my pod? Like, they're supposed to be up there, not down here. What's going on? So I feel pretty doomed seeing them and try to shake it off and just try to draft. But yeah, not looking great. But, you know, my draft actually was not too bad, I feel. I went with Kasai, got some pretty good cards, drafted some good 3 blocks, also got down but not out, and also a parry blade. So overall feeling pretty good about it, all things considered. And then after that, we have to register our deck and go back to our seedings to get ready to play with the people we were matched with. And so when I go back to the table to play, my opponent's there, but the person next to me is not there for my pod. I thought like, oh, that's weird. Hopefully they come back because that would suck that if they just dropped or missed this. Because I don't know why they would just like be gone for the first round. I'm assuming they're just using the bathroom. It'll show up in a bit. So don't think too much about it. Time's called to start playing, and that player that was missing still didn't show up yet. So I'm thinking, dang, that's pretty lucky for the guy that's playing against him because getting a bye first round of draft is huge. I was like, well, lucky for him. And I looked at my opponent, he's playing Kasai, so I'm getting ready to play. We start playing, and after a minute or 2, the missing drafter rushes to the table and says he didn't know the round started. The judge comes over and explains to him he's getting IP2 because he's late. I feel pretty bad about him because he's pretty like distraught. But his opponent is a Japanese player, asked the judge to not give him an IP penalty because he wants to play a fair game. I'm thinking, wow, what an outstanding guy. I think most people, including me, would have just taken the penalty at this high level event and tried to just get the win. But here's him from Japan just trying to play a fun flesh and blood game on a fair playing field, so props to him. Anyway, I thought that was very cool. And back to my game with Kasai, goes back and forth a bit. Eventually I do win with the react and start 1-0. Nothing too exciting, but I'm super happy because that means that I'm not gonna go 0-3 in this draft and just like flat out lose. So I'm pretty happy. And then second game is against Brody. And I'm worried because not only is he a great player, but he's known to go into the tank and think for a very long time. That's bad because I also don't play fast. And there's been times when I get pretty much, you know, go to time and have to draw sometimes on different tournaments. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this at all. So I'm trying to play fast as much as possible. He reveals that he's on KO, and I'm dual wielding Centauri and Parry Blade, hoping to not get fatigued. And we start playing. We take turns just chipping away at each other for a while, and eventually gets to a point where we're both pretty low, probably like sub 5 health each, and there's like less than 3 minutes left or something. We still have a decent amount of cards left in our decks. We're not gonna get fatigued. We're gonna lose by time, if anything. He swings at me with Claw with Go again, and I look at my hand and have 1 3 block and 3 2 blocks. I don't know, like 3 health or something. So I need to block with at least 1 card or I'll die. So after thinking about it, I decide to block with my only 3 block and pass. And then he plays red wage agility for 7 and wagering it. And I'm thinking, no, I really needed to keep that 3 block for this. I should have just blocked with the 2 block from hand, and then I could block this out and prevent the agility, because I pretty much lose if he gets the agility. And then I think about it more, I'm like, actually, you know what I should have done? I should have blocked with my parry blade. I never ever played with parry blade before, so I didn't really know when to use it. And I just totally missed the perfect opportunity to use it. Yeah, so that was totally my fault. That's what happens, you just don't practice enough. Anyway, I just block out, leak 1 damage, he gets the agility, and from there, he just pretty much wins. We didn't go to time, thankfully. And you know, to be honest, now that I think about it more, not sure if I ended up blocking with parry blade, I could have won that game. Maybe I could have. But at the same time, you might not have changed the outcome. But it's okay. Now I'm just 1-1. The last game I sit down for is against the Japanese person that asked the judge to remove the IP2. And I feel pretty bad because this is most likely both of our win and in for day 2. And one of us is going to lose. We introduced ourselves. I learned that his name is Hiroshi Kanaya from Tokyo. And, you know, pretty excited that he's here. And I'm pretty happy for him. I get to play him. So, reveal heroes. He's on Betsy. And he has Good Time Chapeau. And I'm feeling pretty bad that this might be it for me. Yeah, it's not looking great. And early on, I'm getting pretty behind because of some overpowers he does. But I am able to claw back because I land an activated down but not out to get some tempo back. Eventually, we get down to 1-1, and I am able to close out the game with a reaction. So, really happy that I won. I feel really bad that he lost at the same time. But he was really happy for me, so, you know, he was a really cool guy. I start to talk to him in Japanese, and he's pleasantly surprised that I could speak Japanese and asks if I've ever been to Tokyo. I tell him I've been there recently, and I didn't get to play any Fab. I didn't know that there is a pretty big store called Tokyo Fab that I want to check out next time. And then he smiles, and he gives me his business card, and he says he's the owner of Tokyo Fab. Oh, I feel pretty embarrassed, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm so... yeah, I'd definitely check it out next time. And, you know, say, like, thanks for having a cool store and everything. I also give him quite a bit of my Dori sleeves to give to the people at his store, and he was really excited to receive them. So, if you're in Japan, make sure you swing by and grab some. And Kanaya-san, if you're, you know, listening to this, or anyone that knows him, if he needs more sleeves, just let me know. I'm happy to send some over. Anyway, great way to end day 1. I survive at 4-3, and I debate really hard if I should just continue or drop to go to the calling. And, you know, after thinking about it for a while, I decide I should stay because, again, I may never get the chance to go to another PET, and I should enjoy it as much as possible. So with that, I decide to stick it out for day 2. So day 2, the draft pod was kind of interesting. I received a lot of decent warrior and guardian signals early on, so I decided to go with my comfort pick of warrior. But by pack, I think like around 6, there weren't that many warriors card left. Like, they were all guardian. And I felt about switching to guardian at pack 6, but I felt it's really late now. It's really hard. And I didn't really get that many hybrid cards, so I felt like if I switch now, I'm like really committed to switching. And if someone else switches the same time, we're both screwed. So I just decided to stick it out on warrior. Then on the second pack, I noticed that everything getting past me had like no warrior cards. They were like all the 2 blocks and generic and some hybrid cards. I'm like, okay, I think this is really bad. I think this is where I lose because I'm getting so many 2 block generic cards, and these hybrid cards are not great. They're like all yellows. I'm like, this is it for me. I don't even know if I could make 30 card deck and maybe have to add some baubles. Like, I'm feeling really bad. but I try to like stay in it. I'm like, it's okay. Maybe it's gonna come back to me from the other way on the third pack, and I could, eke it out. Then on third pack, I passed Good Time Chapeau on pick 2. Okay, so there's definitely no Guardians to right. All the Guardians to the left. Whoever's to my left is gonna be eating so good on Guardian. Oh god, this sucks. I want to draft the Good Time Chapeau too, but I don't even know if I can make 30 card decks, so I can't. I don't have any space to. So I just have to pass it. And after the draft ends, I find out that it's, I think, a 3 warrior pod. I thought it was gonna be 4 because of how many like Guardians and like no brute and warrior cards there were, but it just turns out to be 3 warriors. And I put all my playables together, and I have just 31 cards left to play, so barely make it without adding any baubles, thankfully. But this deck doesn't look good at all. I'll be happy, I guess, going 2-1. I mean, of course I'll be happy with going 2-1, but I'll be ecstatic, I will say. Like, just like very little chance I get 2-1 unless I play out of my mind. So my first match is against a KO. I think both of our deck performs okay. We chip each other down, get really low health again, but eventually he's able to push wide enough, and I only have 2 blocks, so can't block everything out, and I die. And now starting off day 201, which is pretty bad. I guess now I'm at 4-4, and my chances of getting top 64 to get paid out is looking much slimmer now, especially because I'm at 0-2 on the first day. So I'm feeling like, okay, I really have to win this. So second game, I try to stay positive, and I sit down at my table and notice my opponent's not there. Oh, where's my opponent? So I'm just waiting, and time's called to start, and waiting. And I think a minute or 2 passes, and I'm about to call the judge because, okay, I think I get IP penalty for my opponent, or maybe I get the bye, right? But right before I'm about to call a judge, a person runs back to the chair and says, "I'm sorry, I didn't know the game started," and sits down. And I think about it, I'm like, should I call a judge to give him IP2 and maybe secure this game for sure? But I was thinking about what Kanaya-san did, and I thought that was really cool. And this game is draft. I don't really want to win kind of in a cheesy way. So I kind of like convinced myself it's fine. I just want to have also a fair game. So I didn't call the judge and end up playing my opponent's on Reinar. He gets a lot of intimidates off with the claw action, and then swinging again with an attack action after that. Try to block as much as possible, and be offensive as much as I can. I did play a down but not out, but I think he was able to block it out with all his equipment, which sucked. But thankfully, I think I got him with the red fatal engagement at the end. So yeah, it worked out. I didn't have to rely on IP2 to win. I was able to still win this, so now I'm 1-1, and I'm feeling really good about myself, and go into the last game. So this last game, I sit down and I find out it's the person I was passing all my draft cards to, like all the good Guardian cards. So I know if this person is Guardian, I'm pretty screwed. And when he flips over their hero, it happens to be Betsy with that Good Time Chapeau that I passed. I'm thinking, no, my chances are like so slim now. I know this is gonna be a really hard game. Then we start playing. Same thing as Betsy, I get overpowered a few times, take some of the damage here and there, manage to hold on. I take a big hit and go down to like around 4 health, and swing back to go wide a bit, and then end up with like an agile wind up red when he's at 8. And he thinks for a really long time and decides to take it and go down to 1 health. So I got him on the ropes, because as long as I live, this next turn I should be able to, I have an agility, so I could just swing at him and swing again. And if I'm able to keep another card, I'm able to, fake or have that reaction, and he has to overblock every time, so I'm pretty much gonna win. But he plays out an overpowered attack for, I think, 7 damage. And my hand's all 2 blocks and action cards. No reactions. So I can't block it out, and I die. If I do just that one reaction, I probably live, and I could probably eke out the win. But who knows? Oh well, that's how it goes. So my second day draft ends at, unfortunately, 1-2, going an overall 3-3 in draft over 2 days. Which, I guess without practicing as much as like all these other professional players, maybe it's expected. Maybe that's just how it is. But my overall record now is 5-5, so to get any chance of making top 64, I just need to win out CC from here on. My last 4 games, which maybe I could do. So first round of CC pairings, sit down, and my opponent says they're on Dorinthia. And normally, I'll feel really good about this matchup, but most of the Doris at this PT have me on hatchets, which makes Downblade unfavored for this matchup. Because the longer the game goes, the more value they get from their Dynamos and Tunic, and they could also be running Shunts, which cuts out maybe 6 health from me that I can't stop. And the person in front of me is running a Team Runaway sweater, so I'm pretty sure they're on hatchets. So I board my sideboard expecting hatchets, and to no one's surprise, they are hatchets. And in this game, only way I'm gonna win is if I'm 1, able to get a counter and snowball from there, or 2, keep them from being able to fetch their Dynamos that often because they have to block with 3-4 cards each turn, which is kind of unlikely. So it's really hard asked to do all these things, especially because they're gonna be on maybe 9D reacts and also taking on the chin. Makes it really hard for me to get that counter. So we start playing. I do have to be patient, arsenting some power cards here and there, and also mitigating triple swings as much as possible. And eventually I do get to keep a powerful hand to go over 2D reacts and taking the chin to get the counter. And the game does look pretty good for me for a bit, but over I think next 2 turns, they're able to try to fully block out, and I do end up losing that counter. So I lose that edge that I had, and yeah, it was just a pretty big grind fest. Nothing really fancy or anything. Eventually, I get down to like 1 versus 2 health, and I can't leak any more damage at this point, and I have no equipment. So he starts coming at me with some breakpoints, which forces some inefficient blocks from me, and he's able to go wide enough to kill me. So, loss here means I am out of any prize contention from PT. Really bummed that he ended this way, losing to Hatchet Dori, since that's not how I wanted to lose. But that's how it goes sometimes. And the rest of the PT, I just decided to stick it out and play it out. Maybe farm back some elo. And I play against 3 KOs. And for those games, I just end up winning really comfortably. I think I was like at 20 health or something for all of them. They were pretty easy. And how it should be usually against KO. So overall, I end up with a record of 8-6 in PT and place around 110. So yeah, no prizes or glory, but had a blast still. In hindsight, yeah, I should probably have dropped to go to the calling, since I knew my draft game is kind of weak. But again, it's fine. I'm still happy to say that I came out with a positive record at PT, where all the best players in the world played at. So now that my PT run is over, I decided to see what I could do with my favorite package voucher. And the people at the ticket booth said I could redeem it for Battle Hardened, which is the Living Legend format. It's a format with Starvo, Lexi, Briar Chain, all super powered heroes. And I think about it for a bit, and I said, sure, why not? So I registered for it because I'm thinking in this format, no one wants to block. And Dori is really good into decks that don't want to block. So I actually might have a fun time. And then I sit down for this event, and my first opponent is Prism. Not Lexi, Chain, Briar, all those aggro decks I want to fight. Maybe even Starvel's better. Like, no, not Prism. Why my first match has to be Prism? Yeah, so I end up losing that one. But I do end up going 3-3 overall in the Living Legend format. I lost to that Prism, I think another Prism, and OTK Viz, which had like a bunch of D-Reacts. So I couldn't do anything there. And I won against a Chain, a Briar, and the last match, the opponent just told me they're gonna drop, so I didn't get to play it. So I don't know what they were on. But yeah, 3-3 with Dori in the Living Legend format. It's pretty cool. And then let's see, I also dropped, didn't play the 7th game because I wanted to just play the EPOT event. So yeah, that was my PT experience. Overall, I had a blast. The event was run really well. I got to meet a lot of people, got to meet new people, new fans, and I hope I get to meet more of you in the future. The next event I'll be going to is Battle Hard in San Francisco, so if you come to that, please come and say hi. I will have some more in my sleeves, so make sure you grab one if you never got one. Now, looking at the upcoming meta, I think Hatchet Doors will still likely be pretty relevant. Only deck that really beats a Hatchet Dory is a full-on Decimator list. I think that I know of that's pretty good into Hatchet Dory, because they're really good at blocking out those 2 first attacks, and then they can't really swing the 3rd attack. There might be some other decks that might be meta. Maybe I think Dromite's gonna still be around. I'm not sure. I think it will be. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna run. I don't think I want to run Hatchets, even though it's that strong, or Decimator, because it's just so boring to me. It's just blocking out and then just swinging is not that fun. I enjoy the mind game aspect for it. So if anything, if I was gonna do dual wielding, it would be Hot Streak with Sabers. Then I could play Twinning and Pride, right? And play some more mind games, like a Supremacy on a sword, play Twinning to swing again. And that could be fun. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with Dawnblade, even if it's a losing matchup into Hatch and Decimator. Maybe Hatch and Decimator gets figured out and another meta deck comes up and like stops them from being played. Or maybe they are still meta and most people their deck to beat that, which maybe means they're not running D-Reacts as much, and that means good news for Dawnblade Dory. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with the meta in the coming weeks. And if you're interested in the deck list that I use for PTLA, I'll have it in the description below. So make sure you check that out. Anyway, that is it for now. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you guys later. Bye.